If you've been thinking about how much you can spend in retirement, then stick around because I'm going to introduce you to the expense pyramid. It's a framework that helps allow retirees to spend with confidence and without the fear of running out of money. I'm a certified financial planner and wealth associate at Confluence Financial Partners, and I've had the opportunity to assist hundreds of families conquer the fear of running out of money in retirement and start enjoying the life that they work so hard to create. Now, here's the truth. Most retirees don't actually spend too much. In fact, the overwhelming majority spend far less than they could have, not because they necessarily wanted to, but because they might have been afraid to. They might be afraid of market volatility or afraid of market downturns. And that one market pullback or a large medical bill or a large house bill could majorly affect their retirement outlook. But what if you had a system that told you exactly what to cut and what you can safely keep spending on when things go wrong? And that's what today's video is all about. So let's get right into it. Most people enter retirement thinking that the biggest challenge is having saved enough. And while that's important, what we've seen after reviewing hundreds of retirement plans is that the real challenges begin after retirement starts. It's not just about having money. It's about knowing what's safe to spend and when you can spend it. A 2023 study by Morningstar found that nearly 80% of retirees withdrew less than 4% of their portfolio annually. And even though they had the capacity to spend more comfortably, they just weren't. In other words, most retirees were underspending out of fear, even when maybe their financial plans were saying that they're good to spend. So why is that? It's because traditional retirement planning can still rely on vague, kind of one-size-fits-all metrics, like the 4% rule or the standalone Monte Carlo success score. These tools can tell you the odds of not running out of money, but they don't give you the clarity or really the confidence to know what adjustments that you do need to make when life might throw you a curveball. So let's talk about a better way to approach this, one that's dynamic, personalized, and built for real life. Imagine your expenses arranged in a pyramid with 3 layers. The first layer is going to be your needs, which are your core living expenses that you really have to cover no matter what. This is going to be your housing, your food, and your healthcare. The next layer would be your wants, which are more like lifestyle choices that bring you and your family comfort and enjoyment. You can think of this as travel, dining out, maybe home repairs or upgrades. And then the third layer is going to be your wishes. And these are going to be more of your aspirational goals. Maybe that's gifting to your family, large legacy projects, or maybe a really large dream vacation. So this pyramid is the heart of how we at Confluence structure retirement spending for our clients. Instead of asking, how much can I spend, which is a broad question, the better question becomes, which parts of my lifestyle are going to be flexible? This is where it really gets powerful, because it allows you to plan your spending adjustments ahead of time. That way you're not doing it in a panic or out of fear, but strategically and proactively. And at the end of the day, our clients just don't want to be caught off guard by something that could have been planned for, or at least should have been planned for. You see, it's really not about avoiding needing to make adjustments, because plans will change. That's a fact. It's about having a clear view of the road ahead and the confidence that you are prepared to make an adjustment because you're staying proactive. So let's talk about that Monte Carlo score simulation. Most retirement planning software spits out a single number for you. Maybe it's you have a 78% chance of not running out of money. But what does that really mean? What if your portfolio drops by 20%? Do you just cut all of your spending? How much? And for how long? And that's really the missing piece in most of these financial plans. And that's why we approach Monte Carlo scores a little differently. We use it to create what we call our risk-based guardrails or boundaries that say, if your portfolio falls to X percentage, then we're going to go ahead and reduce your wants and or your wishes by Y%. And if your portfolio grows to Z, then you can safely increase your spending by Y percentage. Maybe it's buying that boat you always wanted, or identifying a wish like donating to your family or charities that you support. And so this is really a dynamic system. It adjusts based on real-time financial conditions. And it gives you the green light to spend more or a gentle warning to pull back without ever touching your needs or your basic living expenses. Now, if you're feeling concerned about how much you can spend in retirement, you might find value in my retirement readiness review. It's a personalized video where I break down your retirement outlook and highlight potential blind spots. I'll put the link in the description if you want to learn more about it. Now, let me walk you through a theoretical client example. We'll call them Mark and Linda. Let's just say Mark and Linda are 65 and 63. They have $1.4 million in retirement savings. Mark's Social Security is going to start at 67, and Linda wants to start at 65. and they really want to spend $90,000 a year before taxes. So what we do with Mark and Linda is we'll actually divide that 90,000 into 3 tiers, just like we talked about. And we found that 50,000 of the 90 was in their needs category, or their basic living expenses, such as their healthcare, their mortgage, and such. Then 25,000 of the 90,000 is going to be in their wants. And that's really going to be their traveling budget, they're eating out, they're going to see friends, and the lifestyle spending. And then 15,000 of that is going to be in their wishes category. And that's really going to be like the large home upgrades, maybe a trip to Europe, like a really large trip that they want to do, but they're not necessarily counting on doing it. Now, Mark and Linda's Monte Carlo score was 82%, which to them felt a little shaky because they're used to striving for 100% like when they were in school. But retirement planning is a little different. And we say that if you're between 90 and 100%, it's kind of like getting to a domestic flight from Pittsburgh to Florida 8 hours early. You're definitely going to make your flight, but there's probably more you could have done with your time before getting to the airport so early. So with that in mind, we went ahead and we set up guardrails for them to be able to show them that if markets did pull back, that their score might drop to, let's just say, a 75%, we would go ahead and pause their wishes and maybe trim their wants by maybe 5 or 10%. And conversely, if markets rose and their score bumped up to over 90%, then we would talk through how to increase their spending based on either their wants or their wishes, maybe by 5 or 10% as well. So by having this plan in place, they were able to move forward confidently, even through volatile markets, because their plan didn't say just spend blindly. It said adjust accordingly. And that's how real financial peace is built. And here's what surprised me the most after using this method with clients. They didn't necessarily just spend more, they felt better about it. Why? Because they finally had the permission, per se, and a process to spend more when they wanted to. They wouldn't be wondering whether or not they made a mistake, or they wouldn't be asking themselves, can we really afford this? Because they already knew the answer, because our system told them. This approach has helped countless retirees stop hoarding dollars for some future event that may never happen, and instead enjoy their healthiest, most capable years in retirement. Now, you might be wondering, what if there is a bear market? What if there's a large recession or a huge medical bill that hits us really early in retirement? Well, the expense pyramid and the guardrails already account for that. Your needs will stay intact, such as your basic living expenses. Your wants can be flexed based on predefined thresholds like we just talked about, and maybe your wishes get paused, but never canceled. Now, I'll be honest, the system might not be perfect, but nothing's perfect in financial planning. But it beats reacting to panic and making the kind of spending cuts that rob you of your joy and maybe aren't even necessary in the moment. See, we want to protect your retirement income and your retirement experience. That's what this expense pyramid is designed to do. Now that you know how the expense pyramid works and how to use it to spend confidently in retirement, your next step might be to identify your current level of spending and then break it up based on your needs, your wants, and your wishes. And as I said, if all this sounds like a lot, it absolutely can be. That's why we work alongside our clients in our financial planning process. And so if you want a complimentary review of your retirement readiness, I'd recommend reaching out for my retirement readiness review. Like I said, I'll put the link in the description if you think you'll find value in it. Now, I hope you found value in today's video. And if you don't want to miss future videos, I'd encourage you to subscribe. And as always, great days ahead.